There's only been one mass start so far this season in Nowe Mesto na Morawie in the Czech Republic, and it was probably one of the most impressive races of the year. The women's was brilliant, the men's was a demonstration of how it should be done, given, of course, by Martin Fourcade. -2 the temperature, the wind not as bad as it was on day one here in Oberhof. And with sub-zero temperatures, the track should stay in reasonably good condition. There are one or two sections that are very fast. We saw a lot of fallers yesterday. It could be the same again today, particularly on the first lap when the course is packed. Everyone fighting for a little bit of position. 15 kilometers the distance. Winning time in Oberhof last time they had a must start was 44.52. The winner, do I need to tell you? Martin Fourcade yet again. Although having said that, Mike, 5 mass starts last year, 5 different winners. Beatrix Fourcade, Lesser Vindisch and Bo.
The year before, remember, Fourcade was winning most of them, and it's unusual for him to let those races slip.
And of course, Johannes Tingesberg getting the world title with the race of the decade, many say, out sprinting Martin Fourcade. He was hungry that day, and unfortunately Johannes Tinges has been ill this week and he's not racing today. He could have done, but he's not. There's the man, the main man. Cold hands yesterday, Mike. It looks as though he's got the same pair of gloves.
Well, that was unusual yesterday. You can put a liner, a silk liner in it. Certainly helps keep the warmth in. I'm a little surprised to see that. At the start of the race, you don't want to have your digits, your fingers that cold.
But the problem with putting thicker gloves on is you then lose an element of the control with the stick. In terms of shooting, shouldn't make any difference because you can always pull the end of the finger off the end of the glove off the finger to reveal the pad.
That's right. Most athletes do have a little slit in the trigger finger, but yes, you don't want actually gloves that are too bulky when you're shooting either.
Svetkov, 6th in the World Cup rankings. We haven't really focused on him too much this year. Arndt Pfeiffer's starting to come back. He's shown 1 or 2 good races, particularly yesterday. Had a very encouraging run indeed. And Pfeiffer with 15th place in the sprint, pulled himself up to 2nd in the pursuit. Anton Shapulin, 93% hit rate in the prone. He should be there at the halfway stage, but he's been a little loose with the standing shots compared to Martin Fourcade. 93% prone, 90% stand. The world #1 looking for World Cup win number 58. Who's going to bet against him? Away they go. 15,000 meters to race, 20 targets to hit, and it's Anton Shapulin who establishes himself at the front. If you lead, you control the pace. But if there's any wind out there, as there has been over the last couple of days, then you pay the price, especially on the home straight. And I think that's where Svensson went wrong yesterday.
Svensson couldn't believe it. Just in those final few meters, he had nothing left at all, put everything out on the track. And he was really disappointed to finish 4th.
Yeah, I think he went too early on he overtook Vindisch because Vindisch was struggling on the last of the climbs, but he must have been aware that he was then going to give Vindisch some support, some protection from the headwind in that home straight.
They all know the sport inside out, and if you're skiing into a headwind, thankfully not as much wind today, then it plays a huge factor. Anton Shapulin, he's a little disappointed with his 2 previous days of racing here, with his 24th, his 16th position. It's really all down to poor shooting, and I think that's why we're seeing him really attacking today. He's got a desire to take at least a podium.
And I tell you what, one stat, I had a little look at the start order last night, Mike. 18 out of the 30 in this field have won World Cups. And of course, Martin Fourcade is one of them. Bjorn Dahlen's won the most of any at 95. 233 World Cups have been won by this field of 30. 152 of those have been won by two men, Fourcade and Bjorn Dahlen. If you add Svensson to the pack, that takes it up to 190. That's how dominant those three have been over the last 10 years.
It's incredible. Well, Svensson has, but certainly the last 2 years he's tapered off, hasn't he? Poor old Svensson. That was interesting there. Schipulin was leading and holding Fourcade back. Fourcade was working his way to the front. Then Svetkov put in a huge amount of energy to get to the front. And very quickly, Fourcade danced around him and got to the front again.
And now he's slowing it down as they come in towards the 800-metre mark.
But it makes great sense to be leading down this descent. It's going to get busy.
Yeah, I guess that's what his thought is. Get ahead, get out of trouble. We've seen that. Those at the back don't have any choice. But first round gets to pick the line. And of course, there's no one in front to fall. Fourcade has a little look behind. Everyone's very wary. They've seen people fall here. Fourcade steps his way round, nice and neat. Lots of fallers here yesterday. And those at the back, Mike, will find that they lose quite a lot of ground to those at the front because everyone taking it cautiously. Mesetic was the last man round for Austria, number 30. Got called in with a couple of replacements. Johannes Tingersbø, we spoke about. Simon Eder, it's a shame he's not racing. He's always exciting in these mass starts, but Eder is suffering. Now, there's something called a norovirus going around, Mike. I know Scott, your son, picked it up. What is it? Vomiting plus?
Vomiting plus and a bit more, and sweating, not good, feeling ill. And again, the chemistry in the stomach a little bit off for certainly a couple of days for Scott after that sickness came.
And it's affected a lot of the teams.
I think it has, and it's often, I don't know whether it's food poisoning or that virus, but either way, it's a little bit of a setback.
Bibbs 1 and 2, still 1 and 2. Schipulin just a tiny fraction ahead of Martin Fourcade at the moment. Simon Schempp sitting in 6th. Bjorn Dahlen wearing bib number 8, sitting in position 8 at the moment. He won't mind that the pace is slow on the first lap. He will struggle if they go for it on laps 2 and 3. His chance comes from shooting clear. And I think it's safe to say that if Bjorn Dahlen doesn't hit 20, he's not going to win.
I have to agree with that. Lovely picture. No wonder they trip and tangle up when there's 30 skiing side by side. You mentioned Bjorn Dahlen, Patrick. It was his second and third ever victory were here, and that was 20 years ago. He won the sprint, and the following day he won the pursuit. He missed 5, and he still won the pursuit. 20 years ago, his skiing speed was some 35 seconds faster than anybody.
I see a new binding system's coming out next year. A couple of the big companies teaming up to produce a twisting one that you step in and step out of. I think that will be a real advantage to those who do cross-country skiathlons, where you change halfway through, so you don't actually have to bend down to put your ski on. And I can think of 1 or 2 leisure skiers who will enjoy that fact as well.
Yeah, I read that. I hope they test it thoroughly, because the last thing you want is your ski to flip off it. We have seen that in races.
Yeah, I made a note of the name, but that was on the old start sheet before Johannes Tingis and Simon Eder pulled out.
You understand with a 3K loop 5 times why the pace first time round isn't overly dynamic. Everybody's happy to take it at what, 85, 90%. And everybody knows the race really starts after the first shoot.
He's slightly surprised at this pace that no one's really made an effort to go from the back of the field to the front. Normally, it's a very expensive exercise in terms of energy output, but at this pace, that would be relatively easy. Perhaps it's to do with the fact that the tracks aren't that wide.
Yeah, maybe the lack of snow. I know natural snow did fall Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I think there's an unwritten code as well. If you try like Mesetic going forward there, you just get in the way. Everyone skis much the same. It's a bit of a code that you really don't try to irritate. Babikov has lost a lot though. He's started 10th, he's now 23rd.
Chapulin still setting the pace, and Fourcade, without any more severe downhills, is quite happy to sit in behind him. I think that example of where he chose to go ahead, Mike, just before the downhill, is indicative of the way he thinks. And yesterday, although it wasn't the most exciting race we've ever had, there was no sprint finish at the end. It was one of the best demonstrations of how to win a pursuit. You have to remember he started 51 seconds behind. He was patient where he needed to be. He used others to shield himself from the wind when he could, and then he picked his moment to break away.
I think you can't disagree with that. And when he came in with 5 others at the same moment, he jostled, he irritated, he moved the pace. But then when he got into position, he was the only one out of those 5 who hit easily 5. Most others missed 2s and 3s. It was very windy. He just has the ability to control everything about himself.
Well, these are the races that the fans have been waiting for. They would love to see a German winner today. Simon Schemp, it could be him. Eric Lesser, who's a local man. He's wearing bib number 6. Ranked 7 in the world. Eric Lesser, so he's having a tremendous season. And Germany also with Benedikt Doll, who didn't have the best of days yesterday.
I think we saw Benedikt Doll falling, didn't we, on that tight right-hander 2 days ago. And of course he missed 4 out of 5 in the stand. Doll.
Well, that is highly unusual to see that sort of a burst into the firing point, but Fourcade had to take lane 1, and often he takes his time with the first prone shot, but maybe he wants to get the first target down. Mickey Rösch throws his first wide. Chapulin. I think what he was doing was just disrupting the thought patterns of Anton Chapulin. Gamesmanship.
Maybe Chapulin did a lot of the leading out there. It wasn't worth it. He's missed the first 2.
Svensson is clear. Babikov is clear. Vindish clears. Schlesinger and Fillon-Maillet. 3 misses. 4 for Fillon-Maillet, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Krishma, Dessieux, clean. Semakov's gone clean. He's going to move up the order. Simon Schemp gets a cheer from the crowd. He goes clear, and Benny Vega of Switzerland also hitting all 5 targets, but still far too many on the penalty loop. The flags in the range area indicating very little breeze, but the flags nearest the firing points moving one way, the ones nearer the targets moving the other.
Yeah, a little rotation of the wind there, always a little difficult to work out. Not for this man.
Welcome to Oberhof. If you've just joined us, we're now into the men's mass start, the final race for them in this round of the World Cup before they head to Ruhpolding for next weekend's competitions. No prizes for guessing who's leading. Martin Fourcade shooting on lane 1. Just about every shot, Mike, in the 10.
He's just doing nothing wrong. I love the way he cornered there. Again, dominating, wanting the front line so that he can't be taken out by a potential faller.
Julian Eberhardt, tall. It's a lot faster this time round. There goes Hofer of Italy, looking to keep his improved form going. Number 6 is Erik Lesser, who nips ahead of Martin Fourcade on the climb. Svensson still there for Norway. Bjorndal and Mike shooting clear on the first shoot, just looking for his timings behind the leaders. He came out of the range actually in 3rd position. He's in that group. Bjorndalen wearing 8. You might just have picked up on him. There he is on the far side and on the heels of Martin Fourcade, waiting for the Frenchman to make a mistake. And that's the sort of stage that Bjorndalen's at in his career. He's waiting for the big names to mess up.
But I'll tell you what, Bjorndalen's skiing well. You can see how dynamic his movement on skis are. They're looking beautiful. What about Lesser? Around this time last year in Ruhpolding, in fact, he won a mass start down there. He's always good for one a year.
Eberhardt, 18th, who won the sprint. Stitzel.
Stitzel leaping up the side, animated to tell Pfeiffer to move the sights to left.
We'll see whether Pfeiffer makes the move that he's been advised to make. Bjorndalen, of course, for the first season, watching his wife race as well. What do you make of Daria's performances?
I think I expected maybe a little better, but she only gave birth, what, 1st of October, so I'll need to be a bit more easy on her. But yesterday she missed 2-2-2-0, so getting her routines back a little bit. But she's been so careful on the range because she's not recovering fast that she's having to really take time shooting, and that's not the best way to shoot.
Yeah, it's going to take a while before we see what she can do. She may spring a surprise on us when we head to the World Championships in Hochfilzen. The coaches out with their target boards, trying to just indicate where the shots have gone.
You can see how accurate. I mean, why show your athlete that they're all going through dead centre? Let it be.
I was hoping we were going to see Phil Maillet's. Poor man, 4 misses. He's already 1 minute 46 off the pace of the race leaders, so it's not going to be a day to celebrate for him.
Can he come back from that? You know, top biathletes maybe will mess up the first time. We've seen it before. And I hope Schlesinger, he missed 3 first time in. I hope he can go 0-0-0. Broken pole, possibly. Yep. Now, who would that be? That might be Labe Lund. Norwegian coach sprinting down to assist.
Well, often other coaches will help in situations like that. And you certainly don't want to be on an uphill section.
Svensson. Good work from the coach. That'll warm him up.
That's why they have their radios. And I guess if you have a few more coaches, you can solve the issue there and then. But it's not like produce a stick and that will do it. He may well change it again if the one he's got at the moment isn't the right size.
I think you're right there. There's another coach there with a different pole, should he need it.
And of course, Mike, the strap for the right and left hand is different as well.
It's annoying. Svensson didn't want that offering of another pole. What about Fourcade? He really brutally pushed the pace up the climb, just playing around with the field, and he's separating the field. That's what he wants. Hurt them more than it's hurting me.
Well, he more than anyone else has brought psychology into this game, and I'm absolutely convinced that little burst before the first shoot was just to disrupt the thought patterns of Anton Shapulin, who he saw or sees as one of his main rivals this year.
Yeah, and it certainly worked. Bjorndalen tucked in and gliding so easily behind Fourcade into the range. 16
shooting clear on the first shoot. Any predictions, Mike, for the second one? They tend to be fairly standard.
They're fairly standard. We're normally 14 to 17 after the first shoot, no matter what the weather. I think we'll see 8 to 10.
Still clear
0,
after 2.
8 to 10.
Well, the stadium's packed today. First time. Not been brilliantly supported, but they're vocal, they're into it. They like the fact that Germany have someone in contention. They've got 2 in contention at the moment. Schemp is right up there. Doll is only a couple of seconds off the pace. They were disappointed to see, just trying to pick out Pfeiffer.
Yeah, 21st.
Yeah, and of course Lesser's right up there as well. So still a chance of a home win. But they're going to have to beat this man to do that. Bjorndalen lane 2. Schemp, Doll, Lesser, 3, 4, 5.
Bjorndalen and Fourcade, shot for shot, they're all hits so far.
Fourcade pushes his prone hit rate up to 94% for the season. Bjorndalen, much better from him, and he matched the Frenchman for speed. He's still in with a chance of getting yet another World Cup win. Is that going to happen? 95 to his name already. That would be a story and a half. Windisch has blown his chance. 4 misses, 600 extra metres to ski. That's... that is painful.
Windisch came third yesterday. Eberhard, not maybe as unexpected, has missed 3 already.
Yeah, he was working on his shooting over Christmas. It paid off in the sprint. He got his second ever World Cup win, Windisch. Eberhard having won out in Chianti-Mansijsk at the end of last season. The men's mass start, they're on the third lap of 5. 2 shoots completed. Fourcade, Bjorndalen, Schemp, Lesser, all going clear. 9 athletes with the perfect score. The fastest of those to miss just 1 is Benedikt Doll of Germany. Babikoff, Dessieux, Pfeiffer, Vega, Rush, all missing 1 apiece. Well, actually, Mike, Dessieux has gone clear, so we've got 11 who've shot clear. It's just Dessieux and Vega that much slower than this leading group.
They are losing a bit of time. 11, that's the flags were pretty easy to shoot. Fourcade taking some fluid on.
Yeah, interesting way of doing it.
Isn't it great to see Bjorndalen, for me, up in the medals at the moment and looking very composed today? He irritated Fourcade a little by pressing the ski pole forward. Fourcade spun round and gave him a look. And then he must have thought, well, it's the legend behind me, I'll let him off.
I'm not sure what the relationship is between those two. There's certainly a fair amount of respect. I've certainly heard Bjorndalen speak very, very highly of Fourcade and his abilities. Stitzel again. Yeah, he's right in there.
He's a great coach to give so much to all the athletes in the race. They need that.
Svensson still hasn't missed a target, but he finds himself 5 seconds behind. So we've got the current world best leading the previous world best. So many taking on fluid, Mike. The race, you know, normally you wouldn't take on fluid unless the race was over an hour. But at this stage of the season, with so much illness going around, staying hydrated is absolutely key.
I think it is, and you know, it gives you a little. The brain is suffering out, the body's suffering out there all the time. You need you need something to spark you up, but to give you some feel-good factor. Anything works.
Krishmar for the Czech Republic. The Czechs certainly delighted with the way Schlesinger has been going. Moravec has yet to show his best form this season.
I'm pleased to say Schlesinger did hit all 5, having missed 3 the first time. He got all 5 the second time in the prone.
Svensson's doing the donkey work, trying to lead the chase group up towards the leading group, and he certainly made a little bit of ground over the last couple of 100 metres. He was 5 seconds behind. That now is less than 4, and I think he'll want to get in touch before they make the approach into the range for the 3rd time. Of course, the first standing shoot coming up in this, only the 2nd mass start of the season. This is the real test. And the psychology in the mass start, very different from the pursuit, Mike, where those who start early have all the expectation on the shoulders. Those who start late have nothing to lose.
No, nothing to lose. It's all to gain, isn't it? Because if you start 57th in a pursuit, not much to lose. And therefore the pressure's off. A biggest surprise for me today is Shipulin. He's 24th at the moment, and he really needs to be careful because he's second in the overall World Cup at 352 points, and I think that Schemp could turn that around today, depending on if Shipulin can pick his shooting up again in the stand. Shipulin has missed 4 from 10 in the prone position. Svetkov beginning to look tired. Elisev as well. And Fourcade is just relentless, it's brutal. He let Schemp lead, Schemp looked good at the front, but Fourcade, as usual, wants to hurt everybody up this climb, get them more out of breath before the shooting. Well, Norway must be happy with Bjorndalen, followed directly by Svensson. It's not going so well for the third Norwegian in the lineup, Labe Lund. 21st, having missed 3 at the moment.
Well, I wonder what Bjorndalen's chances are. He's sitting there in 3rd place at the moment. Bjorndalen, 10 mass start wins in his career. That's insignificant compared to the number of pursuits that he's won. Is there anything in that, Mike? Do you think it's okay, the mass start was introduced later, and also that in the latter part of his career the speed has been what's missing, and the shooting penalty in the mass start is less percentage-wise than any other, so speed becomes more important.
I think so. He's never really had the best individual shooting scores. That's the 20 kilometre where there's a minute penalty. So he's always been the fastest skier in his early days of biathlon, but he got away with missing targets in those days. I think that's Svetkov.
Well, it's not ideal conditions for photography. And the local photographer's hoping that it's going to be one of the Germans on the podium. That will certainly help sell their papers tomorrow morning. Here we go. Martin Fourcade, if he's going to miss a shot, he'll want it in this shoot, and there it is. That first one goes wide. Bjorndalen will have sensed that. He knows that's now an opportunity, and Fourcade can certainly be 150 metres quicker. Now he's got 2 penalty loops to play. Bjorndalen is clear. Simon Schemp has missed. Svensson has missed. Lesser has gone clear. So it's Bjorndalen and Lesser who will head out of the stadium together for the 4th of 5 laps. Now we have a race on our hands. Do not rule Fourcade out of this one yet. He will fly round the penalty loop. How much time, Mike, are we looking at? 46, maybe 50 seconds?
I think 46. He will, as you say, he is flying around that penalty loop right now. Well done, Bjorndalen. He's only got Lesser with him, and now a huge gap. One more lap to go.
Well, there goes Fourcade. Of the 10,
45, 46 seconds.
Yeah, of the 10 races this year, Mike, Fourcade has shot clear on the last shoot in 7. 70% of the time he clears the last 5. No one else that I could find can match that.
It's incredible, and I think the statistics say that yesterday, difficult conditions, only 7 out of 60 men hit the last 5 targets.
44 seconds, 22 for each penalty. That is very, very rapid from Martin Fourcade, but necessarily so. He's got Landertinger with him. That's a useful windshield if he wants the Austrian to take the pace at any stage on this lap. There's Simon Schemp leading Emil Hegle Svensson of Norway, who's got much better form really since the World Championships in Oslo last year. He's started to come back, and I think if we hadn't seen any form from Svensson at the end of last season, Mike, he might well have hung up his skis.
Did you see Bjorndalen looking back there? He wants Lesser to lead, but I think he was really surprised that there's nobody else in sight.
Yeah.
He obviously wasn't aware of that. He's just focusing on what he does best.
Hey, this is a tricky one for the crowd because they would love to see Bjorndalen get a win, but even more, they want a German victory. So,
well, 49-51.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win situation for them at the moment, but there's still one shoot to go. There will be changes.
What a race.
So seldom that the top 3 coming into the last shoot go out in the top 3 positions. We'll see if that's the case today. Bjorndalen 1, Lesser in 2, and leading the chase at the moment is Simon Schemp, Svensson and Beatrix.
And I was thinking Bjorn Dahlen's form, he was what, 32nd 2 days ago, 37th yesterday. I thought maybe the fact that his mother-in-law is there looking after little Xenia from Rasheva, his wife, racing again. I thought he was unsettled. He's not unsettled today.
Now, just looking down the shooting results, always trying to let you know how many have gone clear. After the third shoot, only 3 men were clear. Bjorn Dahlen, Lesser, who are 1 and 2, and Dominic Landertinger. Now, I don't know what happened to Landertinger earlier on. He did start number 28, so that will have cost him 15 seconds at least on the first lap, Mike. But he's now 38 seconds behind, having hit 15 out of 15.
It was strange. After his first shoot, he was 37 seconds behind. I think he must have had a fall. He had something that set him back. Unusual to lose 37. Sorry, that was coming into the range last time, wasn't it?
Fourcade was 44 behind. He's now 37.
Fast, pushing the pace. Lesser not wanting to take the lead. Bjorn Dahlen has offered the lead up, but the chasers will now move forward.
Schemp, Svensson, Beatrix behind, suffering a little bit. They've each missed 1 target so far today, 14 out of 15. The third group being led by Martin Fourcade, and he is absolutely storming round the track. And he's perhaps the only biathlete in the world at the moment who can push at this pace and still stand a chance of hitting all the targets. Watch out for the targets of Dominic Landertinger on this shoot. I think we could see a few sprayed wide.
I think that's 9 seconds. Fourcade is dragging these two ahead of Bjorn Dahlen's ski time. That's a huge amount of time.
And if he gets to within 20 seconds of Lesser and Bjorn Dahlen before the final lap, he's still got a chance of winning. He can certainly take 20 seconds out of Bjorn Dahlen.
He can. Babikov just cannot live with the burn, the pace, the pain of that speed.
Well, he's probably sensible to pull over. A little drink for Bjorn Dahlen, and he wants Lesser to go through. The German takes the invitation, and he'll set the pace as they come in to shoot for the final time.
Can you imagine 20 years of pushing around tracks? 20 years ago when Bjorn Dahlen won a sprint and the next day a pursuit competition here. That was his 2nd and 3rd ever victories in World Cup racing. 20 years.
Well, they say, Mike, there is nothing like winning for providing motivation. And that's where it comes from. 95 World Cup victories. We've got a withdrawal, and this time,
let's be honest, he had a bad start, missing 4.
I feel it goes down as a bad day. I think he'll be thinking those sights weren't right. 4 misses on the first shoot, and Phil Maillet missed another 3 on the second shoot, so he found himself over 4 minutes behind, and in fact, I think he was just about to get lapped. Pace is not quick at the front. They're trying to make sure they hit the targets, and in doing so, they will make sure they've got some energy for the last loop.
I think Fillon Maillet, he might get a hard time from his coaches because he's giving up at least 10 World Cup points today by coming out of the race. You can hear the breathing. This is now a brutal part of the race with 1 more shoot to go.
Remember, Fourcade was 44 adrift of the lead. Svensson, coming out of shoot number 3, was 28 behind. We should get another split time. They've still got a fair amount of snow behind them. Conservative pace, Mike. I mean, it's tough. Not many in the world could stay with this, but these guys are running at what? Between 85 and 90%, which means they'll have reserves for the last 2.5 kilometres. And that could be a crucial factor.
Yeah, it's like mountain biking, though. You can actually go up to 93%. Yeah, and I think that's where Eric will be right now. That'll drop to 85 as he descends a little. So the pulse is, the pulse is fluctuating all the time.
Well, if he's at 93, what do you think the chasing group are?
Yeah, well, I think 93, 94, some of them, and we've seen that in terms of percentage when we get the watches on and the pulses on from athletes in cross-country skiing. But they recover very quickly. It only takes 10 seconds, as we see with biathletes, to drop from a pulse of, say, 195 to 180.
Well, this is a similar situation to the one we saw in the pursuit, but on that occasion, the group of 5 were in the lead. This time, they have another 2 out front, so Fourcade is going to have to work his magic if he wants to win World Cup number 9 out of 11 for this season. Don't put it out of consideration at the moment.
You just feel that he's going to go in and build his position very fast and shoot very fast. I think that will be Fourcade's strategy.
Mazet from France to Norway. Well, he'll be delighted, absolutely delighted to see Bjorndalen up there. And the Norwegian coaching team, Mike, when questioned about Bjorndalen in terms of selection, saying, don't worry, he's earning his position. We need him in the team. He's one of our main points winners. And that's absolutely the case.
It's so reliable over his, 23 years now in the World Cup circuit.
And Bjorndalen likely to move up into second place in the World Cup standings as regards the Norwegian team. Johannes Tingesbø is still leading on 308 points. So here we go. Final shoot, 5 out of 5 and a chance of a win. Well, Bjorndalen's got 4. He's going to come out ahead of Lesser, but only slightly. And now a chance. Any of these men who go clear could claim the lead. It's going to be very tight. I think the chances of Bjorndalen getting the win are slim. Fourcade, he's quick to strike with the first shot. The first 3 are down. He's on his way again. 7 out of 10 he's cleared on the last shoot this season. He's going to make it 8 out of 11. And the money is on Fourcade to take the win. Beatrix, Schemp are clear as well. Svensson has blown it. Landertinger missing 2. And look at that. Bjorndalen leads out of the range. And the one scenario he didn't want, which was to have Fourcade behind him, has happened.
And the annoying thing for Bjorndalen, you've just come off that penalty loop. I know it's only 150, but it's an awkward penalty loop. You're annoyed, your legs are a little tired before you start the last 3 Ks. This is going to be one almighty battle on the tracks with the German suits there, 2 of them.
Will anyone live with Fourcade? He has done 1 extra penalty loop and he's gone very early, but you can go too early in Oberhof because it's a cruel start to this final lap. Bjorndalen isn't tempted. Schemp tries to stay with Martin Fourcade, who's trying to stamp his authority on this one. He always finds a way, and each time it's different. Martin Fourcade keeps the pressure on. Schemp stays with him. Someone is going to pay the price of this burst of speed, and Bjorndalen, from a potential win, is down in 4th position. He could be relegated to 5th before too long.
Look,
incredible.
Fourcade, he realised the pain that he's under. He looked back and he thought, no, I can still hurt them more, keep the pace on.
Well done to Simon Schemp.
Oh, that's amazing. But it's not over for Bjorndalen. Bjorndalen knew he couldn't react. He couldn't press that speed after the penalty loop, but I think he might have a slim chance of coming back to take Beatrix, who's just ahead of him.
Well, Mike, when we've watched time trials here, the individuals and the sprints, those who are tempted into a fast pace for the first 500-600 metres pay a real price in the closing stages when they come up the big climb into the stadium. So I can't see Fourcade being beaten, but there may be changes in the other positions.
After that brutal break, it's just Lesser and Bjorndalen who, as I mentioned, came off the penalty loop. They can't react. They've done a little more skiing. Bjorndalen breaking now.
France 1 and 3. They'll be delighted to see that happening. Fourcade, though, is being tracked by Simon Schemp, who has done 1 less penalty. Is that the factor that gives the German the chance? No, it's the fact that Schemp has 28,000 fans in the stadium, and goodness knows how many other thousand out on the tracks. That could be crucial in the closing stages. Lesser, who's looked good all the way through, has got 2 wins to his name. In fact, everyone in this leading group has won.
Look at, again, Schemp. I think he's very confident right now, but Fourcade's going to put an absolute turbo burst up this next climb.
Well, it's not often we've seen Fourcade involved in a sprint finish, but on the occasions that it has happened, he's been beaten by people like Schapulin and Svensson. So I wonder whether he's a little concerned and will want to get clear before the last 500 metres.
And especially Johannes Tingesbø at the World
And Johannes Tingesbø in the mass start at the World Championships in Oslo at the end of last season. Svensson still 6th, the Norwegian missing 2 targets, that last one costing him severely. No one has hit all the targets today, but last year only 2 of the 5 mass starts were won with a clear shoot. Vinch won in Canada, missing 4. And if the podium, the 3 on the podium, missed 11 shots between them on that occasion.
Bjorndalen and Lesser, I think, now are out of it. Bjornmaye has found something. Sorry, Beatrix has found something.
Bjorndalen We said at the start, if he's going to win, he needs 20. If he had it 20, I think he would have won.
Stefan Boutier telling Fourcade how it should happen, and he's encouraging Dessau to hold on.
Okay, how's Schempp going to win this one?
Only by staying behind. He can't react. I think he has to leave it to the last 150. I don't think he'll try and go earlier, and that's his best hope of taking this win.
Yeah, looking at the body language, Fourcade still looks strong. A little more movement in the upper body from Schempp than we normally see.
I think Leicester could take this third place.
Yeah, Beatrix got involved in that scrap earlier on, and we suggested he might pay a price for that. We will see. I think we're looking at 1 and 2 on the screen at the moment. Fourcade leads the way. He'll try and go for brutal break at some stage.
He's hurting. We don't often see Fourcade hurting or on his limit, absolute limit. He's there now.
Yeah, it's nice to see him tested. Really good to see him tested. Lesser trying to put 2 Germans onto the podium. He's going to get some help from the crowd. This is the last uphill. This is where Fourcade's likely to go.
Leicester might even be going for the win. He wants back in this one for the position 1 and 2.
Yeah, Lesser's gone blasting past Beatrix without any trouble at all. Simon Schempp is still there. That look over the shoulder may suggest that he's trying to defend second rather than challenge third, but he'll be delighted to see Lesser there, who's going to get on the back of this leading group. 250 metres still to go. A little bit of downhill. They break right and then sharp left as they go into the home straight.
I think Schempp is confident. His whole existence is about this next minute. He wants to beat the best in biathlon at home in Oberhof.
Simon Schempp lying third in the World Cup rankings at the moment. He's had podiums, but he has not had a win so far this season. Martin Fourcade has had 8 of them. Schempp moves left early. I think he should stay in the protection of the Fourcade for longer than that. Who's got the sprint? Schempp looking good.
Yes.
The 2 men level at the moment, but now Schempp accelerates and the crowd rising to the occasion. It's still early for Schempp to have gone. He's got over 100 metres to go. Into the home straight. Schempp leading. Les coming through to look for third or second. It's Fourcade. Finish for second and third. No doubt about the winner. 38-30. Simon Schempp has denied Martin Fourcade. 19 hits out of 20. The secret to success. Fourcade, I think, blew his chance with that burst out of the stadium.
You said it. I think it was a strategy that could have worked, but he didn't account for Schempp, the desire to win this one. And Schempp, I think, played it beautifully. Absolutely spot on. The only way to break Fourcade.
Tenacious from start to finish for Simon Schempp. It's only 1.5 meters, and I think Germany might... Oh, that's tight. That is tight.
No, I'm going for 1 and 2. And I'll tell you, one man will be gutted.
One man will be delighted. Mark Kiefer, he loves it. He loves it. 3 Germans in the top 6. Well, that's what we needed. I think there'll be a few in the town of Oberhof who say, let's get into the stadium for the last race of the day. The women's mass start that could be every bit as exciting. The Women's World Cup is certainly a lot closer than the men's.
Well, the man that go wrong today did just a little bit wrong. Fourcade's strategy. And does he go and work on the sprint finish? He doesn't really have a sprint finish.
Well, we've often said in the past, Mike, you have 1, maybe 1.5 sprints in you for a race of this nature. And Martin Fourcade used his coming out of the stadium. As you suggested, his idea was to break the field completely and find himself 20-25 metres clear. It didn't happen.
Didn't happen. Schempp, maybe Schempp, with having done 1 penalty loop less, he had a little more on his leg, but it's margins. And Bjørndalen 5th. It's a great result. He'd have preferred a podium.
He'll be thinking about that 1 missed shot tonight. Daria Domracheva will have enjoyed watching that. But what a win for Germany. What a win for Simon Schempp. Just what the crowd wanted. There's going to be a tremendous atmosphere for the last race of this meeting. The women's mass start.